I'll never forget the very first day I had Coach Boeh in class. He knew that I played basketball, and the very first time he asked me a question, I don't remember what happened, but I remember him putting me in push-up position, making me sit down on the ground and look up and listen to him ask me this question while in push-up position, and I'll never forget it.
Well, I remember in Coach Boeh's class, I used to go to the Doofus row. I was there for the whole year, so we nicknamed it the Cheyenne row.
Alright, one time we were playing a review game for something, I don't remember what it was, and Coach Boeh asked us what river ran through the Hoover Dam, and I said the Hoover River, and from then on, Coach Boeh always called me a scholar, but he coughed when he said it because he really meant doofus.
I really kind of appreciate those days that you moved me up to the Doofus row in history my freshman year, and I'm really glad that you decided to call me a scholar after I was a junior in high school. I really appreciate it. Okay, freshman year, I don't remember what we were talking about, but we were talking about caribou. And Coach Boeh was talking about him being in Canada, and I was really confused, and I said, well wait, don't caribou live in Africa? Well, the whole class laughed, and for the rest of the year, Boeh would look at me and say, how those caribou in Africa doing?
Coach Boeh, one of my favorite memories about you is you always used to compare yourself to Brad Pitt as your twin.
When they asked what our favorite memory of Coach Boeh was, the very first thing that came to our mind was
Richard Nixon!
You're all scholars.
Coach Boeh, we love you and miss you, and you'll always be remembered here.
One day in class, Coach Boeh was talking about War of 1812, and he had a question, and he said, assuming everybody in the class are scholars, he called on Lauren Christensen and asked Lauren, when was the War of 1812? And Lauren looked up at him, confused, and since she was not listening and not very bright, she couldn't really answer when the War of 1812 was. Now Lauren learned a lesson, and now she knows to this day when the War of 1812 was.
Everybody always talks about him, always quotes him. I think my favorite thing about him was how it always retold the same stories, but you still laugh no matter what. No matter how many times you've heard him, you still laughed at him. And Coach Boeh was just a really good guy. He impacted so many lives on and off the court, and I don't think he'll ever be forgotten in the halls of Bowling Green High School. And just thanks for everything, Coach Boeh.
I remember how Coach Boeh would always say during the Civil War the people would ride on their horses, but I was always too fat and I fell off mine.
My favorite memory is when Coach Boeh would always say that Grayson was the village idiot and the rest of us were scholars.
I remember the famous days when we were talking about the Richard Nixon scandal in American history. And Coach Boeh's famous impression of Richard Nixon is great. Cracked me up every time. My friends always enjoyed it, and Grayson Gregory can do it really good.
Richard Nixon.
My favorite memory of Coach Boeh was probably just messing around with him every time I had him freshman year. During class, I'd always got sent to the doofus corner. He had a whole area just for me. And I remember halfway through the year he was yelling at me, and he called me Carl. And he said that name just fits me better, so ever since that year, he's been calling me Carl ever since. So.
Coach Boeh gave me a nickname, Yogi Bear.
Coach Boeh was actually, whenever he asked me if I was Irish, I told him, yeah, I had a little bit of Irish history in me. It was always every day he'd come in and it'd always be something Irish stand up. And it'd always be, well, crap, what'd I do today wrong? But he never actually, he'd always ask me questions in class or ask how my day was going. And then one day in class he was talking about Cuba. Never would forget Cuba, Missouri, or Cuba from President Kennedy. And he was just always fun to have in class.
One day in class I couldn't stand being in there and I didn't have any friends or anything. Coach Boeh took me out and talked to me and became my friend and comforted me, and ever since then we were just really good friends.
Hello, my name is Eric Hathaway. I'm a high school math teacher here at Bowling Green. I only had the pleasure of working with Mr. Boeh 2 years. The first year I was here, though, was first year in the district, and I had a conference period with Coach Boeh and Mr. Grigsby, another veteran teacher, and we had a lot of good times. Just, you know how he tells stories all the time. We spent a lot of time just listening to him tell stories, and we're sure going to miss him around here. He kind of took me under his wing, he and Mr. Grigsby did that year, and started calling me Junior, and just kind of, well, the next year they didn't let me have conference with them two again, and we always joked, or they joked, that the administrators were trying to rescue me from their corruption. So we joked about that a lot the second year that I was here, and we just became pretty good friends, and I was so appreciative of him taking me under his wing when I first came here. And just every day you could just count on him to make you smile, and no matter how you were feeling, he always knew that he was going to make you smile. He could make your day better just by being there, just walking in and always asking me, "How you doing, Junior?" And I'll just never forget that. And he meant a lot to me, and I know he meant a lot to everybody. We're all going to miss him, and you know how great of a guy he was, and he really meant a lot to me.
They got missiles in Cuba pointed at us. That's like us having missiles in Russia pointed at them. Mr. President, we do, sir. Oh.
Coach Boeh used to give me a lot of crap, I should say, about boys and my hair color, and he, one of the things I'll never forget is I used to walk in school holding hands with one of my boyfriends, and he would say, "That's not the same boy that you were holding hands with yesterday," and just laugh about it. And in class, when I would get answers wrong, he'd always say, "It's a good thing your hair's that color," and it would just make me laugh. I knew he was joking, but it was just funny how he could like do that with the students and just interact and laugh, and he left an impact on everybody on the court and in the classroom.
Coach Boeh, I loved his class. He was always a lot of fun, and I guess I was always kind of the doofus in his class, so he always picked on me, but it always made me laugh. And last year when I ran cross country, I got all state, and after that he always called me his hero, so that he always just could always put a smile on my face, and I'm going to miss him a lot.
I remember back in class when Coach Boeh asked me a hard question that I didn't know, and so he asked me the easiest question, and he said, "What state do you live in?" And all I could do was laugh.
I worked with Coach Boeh last year as a teacher, and I also had him as a student, as a freshman in this history class. And what I loved about Coach Boeh was his ability to teach and be educational, but still be a great storyteller and be very humorous. One of my favorite stories was when I was a freshman. We were studying Mexico's geography, and there were two sets of mountains, the Sierra Madres Oriental and the Sierra Madres Occidental. And he asked me one day, he was like, "Which of the mountains are in the western part of Mexico? Is it the Sierra Madres Occidental or the Sierra Madres Oriental?" And he said, "Now think about this." And I said, "Well, I'm pretty sure it's the Sierra Madres Occidental." And he goes, "You are absolutely right. And the fact that you got that correct is Occidental as well."
My name is Matt Chance. I'm the activities director here at Bowling Green. I was one of the ones that interviewed Coach Boeh when we hired him on a few years ago. I can honestly say that Coach Boeh was the absolute best coach we've ever had in my time here at Bowling Green. One of the nicest guys, but also one of the most caring people that you'll ever come across. And he's going to be sorely missed around this neighborhood. Thank you.
Last basketball season, Coach Boeh happened to have snot under his nose and didn't have a tissue. Coach Williams asked Ben Anders to wipe it off with his finger, and he did.
When Coach Boeh used to give me a box of chicken and a biscuit after every basketball game that I kept stats for him, and he would tell me that chicken and a biscuit is 3 words, and then I'd have to remind him that chicken and a biscuit is 4 words, and he would say hyphen in and it's 1 word.
Coach Boeh, he was a really great guy, and like one thing that always sticks out that I remember from him is he told me I could be as good as I wanted to be, and like I'll never forget that.